Lesbian detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, lesbian detectives. Lesbian detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the lesbian detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. And you may say, Sierra, your voice is a little weird. Guys, it's allergies. It is so much pollen outside right now. Lord have mercy. But I'm here to do an episode, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear this one. This one right here, my friend James, and you guys have seen him on so many of our cases that we have did. He has seen me so many cases, interviews with family. Love that man. He actually figured out these two victims were murdered by the same person. This man, he's amazing of putting cases together like this. And when he told me about this case, he like, look at the victims, look at everything. I'm like, wow. I said, the police haven't put these cases together. He like, no, I don't know what they doing. The police keep saying they do not go together, but for our benefits and for everybody, is allegedly we saying that these two women might be murdered by the same person. But as my favorite line, I always say, now let's get into the episode. June 1988 in Mesa. Early morning are usually quiet. People are either getting ready for work or still asleep. An apartment complex and neighborhoods don't see much activity yet. But within the span of just over a week, two separate houses in Mesa will become violent crime scenes. Two young mothers will be killed in identical ways. And despite witnesses, evidence, and decades of investigation, no one has ever been held accountable. Both victims were attacked in their own homes. Both were stabbed multiple times. Both fought back. And in both cases, their young children were inside, but left alive. There was no robbery, no confirmed motive, just violent, and then someone leaving the scene. To this day, investigators have never publicly confirmed whether these two cases are connected. This is the case of Loretta, Lynn, and Frances O'Donnell. Frances O'Donnell was 21 years old in June of 1988. She had been born on January 19, 1967. At the time of her death, she was raising her 2-year-old son, Christopher, as a single mother. She lived in an apartment. The area had a reputation of higher crime, but it was where she was building her life and raising her child. She had some support systems in place, including regular visits from a social worker. On the morning of Wednesday, June 22nd, 1988, the social worker arrived at Frances' apartment around 9 a.m. She knocked on the door and waited. There was no answer. At first, that might not have been unusual. People miss appointments, but then she heard something inside the apartment. Christopher crying. The crying was loud enough to immediately raise concern. It wasn't stopping, and there was still no response from Frances. The door was locked. At that point, the social worker made the decision to enter the apartment through a window. Once inside, it became clear very quickly that something was wrong. The apartment was in disarray. Items were knocked over, and the scene suggested there had been a struggle. This wasn't just clutter. It looked like something violent had taken place. Then she located Christopher. He was alive, but he was covered in blood. Nearby was Frances. She had been stabbed to death. Investigators later determined that Frances had fought back during the attack, which indicated that the encounter was violent and likely lasted long enough for her attempt to defend herself. Based on witnesses' statements and the condition of the scene, police believe the attack happened several hours before she was discovered. As part of the investigation, detectives canvassed the apartment complex and surrounding areas. Despite the challenges of the neighborhood, they were able to gather one key piece of information. A man had been seen leaving Frances' apartment around 5:30 a.m. that morning. This timeline placed him at the scene hours before her body was discovered. Witnesses described the man as white male, around 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighted between 180 and 200 pounds. Some individuals believe his name might have been Tom or Dave, but this was never confirmed. What stood out to investigators was the man had been seen at the apartment before. This suggests he may have known Frances. Witnesses also reported that he drove multiple vehicles, including a 1970s era Chevy Capri and a red truck. These details were important enough to be notable, but not unique enough to immediately identify him. A composite sketch was created and released to the public. Despite this, the man was never identified and no arrests were made. Over the time, Frances' case went cold. Just 8 days earlier, on June 14, 1988, another homicide occurred in Mesa. The victim was Loretta Lynn.
Loretta, whose maiden name was McCrae, had recently moved into a duplex near East Camino Street, just north of University Drive. She lived there with her husband, Alan Lynn, and their 8-month-old daughter. At the time, she was also pregnant with their second child. The family had only been in the home for 2 nights. On the night of the murder, Alan was working a graveyard shift in Tempe, leaving Loretta at home with their baby. Sometime during the night, an intruder entered the residence. Investigators were unable to determine exactly how the person got inside. There were no clear signs of forced entry that provided a definitive answer. Loretta was attacked in her bedroom and stabbed multiple times. Like Frances, she fought back. This conclusion was supported by physical evidence recovered at the scene. Her baby was found alive and unharmed in another room. Nothing appeared to have been stolen from the home. There were no signs of sexual assault. The lack of a clear motive made the case more difficult to solve. Alan Lynn was investigated early on, as is standard in cases involving spouses. However, his alibi was confirmed. He was at work during the time of the murder. There was no DNA or physical evidence linking him to the crime, and he was cleared as a suspect. He did provide investigators with one potentially important detail. He reported seeing unfamiliar vehicles in the neighborhood around the time of the murder, including a blue Nissan Pathfinder and an El Camino. These leads were investigated but did not result in a suspect. The most significant piece of evidence in Loretta's case came across from her fingernails. During the struggle, she had managed to collect skin from the attacker. Investigators recovered this as a DNA sample. In 1988, DNA analysis was still in its early stages, and there was no effective way to use that sample to identify a suspect. As a result, the case eventually went cold. Over the years, the similarities between the two cases became increasingly difficult to ignore. Both victims were young mothers. Both were attacked in their homes. Both were stabbed multiple times. Both fought back. Both had young children in the home who were left unharmed. In both cases, there was no clear motive and no confirmed suspect. Despite these parallels, law enforcement has never publicly confirmed that the cases are connected. As time passed, both cases remained unsolved. Frances' son, Christopher, was eventually placed for adoption. Her ex-boyfriend, Mark Dennis Masili, was later tested and cleared through DNA evidence. He died in 2008. Francis's father passed away in 2015 without ever knowing who was responsible for her death. Loretta's case saw renewed attention, largely due to advocacy from her cousin Karen Donna, who spent decades pushing for advancements in DNA testing to be applied to the case. In 2015, an attempt was made to use the DNA evidence to generate a genealogical profile, but it was unsuccessful. By 2022, advancements in forensic science allowed for another attempt. This time, the DNA was successfully analyzed, confirming the suspect was male and identifying a possible surname, Dooley or Hayes. More recently, additional testing had been conducted by Bode Technology, a company specializing in forensic genealogy. Their work focuses on building family trees from DNA in order to identify suspects through relatives. This type of testing has led to arrests in numerous cold cases across the United States. However, as of now, investigators have not publicly announced or matched or confirmed whether the suspect in Loretta's case is connected to Frances O'Donnell's murder. Frances O'Donnell was a 21-year-old mother raising her son and trying to build a stable life. Loretta Lynn was described by her family as kind, devoted, and deeply loved, with a growing family and a new home. Both women were victims of violent attacks that remained unsolved. Anyone with information about either case is encouraged to contact the Mesa Police Department. Even after nearly 4 decades, both investigations remain open. Before we end this case, let's sit back and think about what we've just laid out. 2 young women, 2 homes in the same city, 8 days apart, both attacked in the middle of the night or early morning hours, when everything is quiet and no one is watching closely enough. Both fought back, and in both cases, the people responsible left behind children who survived, but were forever changed by what they walked into afterward. Frances O'Donnell was just 21 years old, trying to raise her son and build some kind of stability in her life. Loretta Lynn was building a family, expecting another child, starting fresh in a new home. Neither of them got the future they were working towards. And what makes this even harder is how much is still unknown. A man seen walking away from Frances's apartment. A violent struggle left behind by Loretta. DNA that couldn't be used for decades, now finally giving investigators something to work with. But still no confirmed suspects. Still no official connection made between the cases. For years, families have been sitting with silence, with questions that don't get answered, with names and memories, but no resolution. And even now, after all this time, these cases are still open, still active, still waiting for that one piece of information that finally makes everything click into place. If you know anything about either case, the Mesa Police Department is still asking for help, because sometimes the smallest detail, the thing someone thought didn't matter, can be the thing that finally changes everything. This is the case of Loretta Lynn and Frances O'Donnell. Now let's get into some theories.
Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives. What type of thoughts you thinking? What theories running through your mind? I'm thinking all types of suspicion. Uncover the truth, what we can find. Witness say they saw somebody creeping out the back door. What you think they did it for? That's so crazy, I'm not sure. They found a car, where could she be? Here go another puzzle piece. Researching through your history. It's plenty unsolved mysteries. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories, yeah. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives.
You or me?
Go ahead.
So with this case right here, when I was talking to James about this case and I was reading over everything, all thing that stood out to me was the cars. For Francis' case, it was 2 different trucks. Then with Loretta's case, it was a Nissan. And I sat back, I was like, what if he worked own cars. So it's easy for him to just like switch cars out. If he's a mechanic and he's working on cars, we're never like, you can't put those pieces together like, hey, my car was in the shop on this day, but he's switching them out like that. So it's like nobody's looking at license plates. They're like, oh yeah, it was a red truck. Oh, it was a blue Nissan. Like, they're looking like that. So that's why I feel like the police haven't connected, because he was using different cars. And I did see that on a case of a crime show where they committed a crime, but they was mechanics and they used they use other people's cars. So I did see that before on a crime show. I hate that they're not really focusing on Frances' case. And I feel like her case could solve Loretta's case, because it seemed like we don't know nothing about Frances' case. I have looked and I have looked. It's just that little information. You don't really see them like, hey, yeah, years later we look back in it, we did this. You don't see it. You don't hear it. But with Loretta's case, you hearing all that because somebody is speaking out for her. Somebody is keeping her name in the public eye. But Frances is not getting that. And I wonder, they do have DNA. And I don't feel like they probably put that DNA in the system. I feel like it's just there. Because they did compare her ex with that DNA. But to me, if they put it in the system, it would have got a hit. Or it would kind of compare to Loretta's case. We don't know. And that's one thing I'm kind of stuck on is the DNA. Like if they did put in the system, you would saw a match somewhere. But I remember I was talking to a family member. They said, yeah, they had the DNA, but they never put it in the system. Like it was just there. I'm like, man, she had to call and say, hey, put in the system. It took them like 2 decades to put her loved one DNA, the killer DNA in the system. So that is possible. So with Loretta's case, it seemed like they're close to solving it, right? And I feel like if they solve her case, they're not even looking at Frances' case. So they're not even caring about her case. But I wonder how close in time there was on the life if it's more women out there. Because I'm sorry to say it has to be. It has to be more cases out there. Because you tell me this man stopped. I wonder did he think Loretta was a single mom? Like what connected those two women? Because they were different. They were in different stages of their life. Loretta was a wife, but Frances wasn't. She was a single mom and she was getting help from the government. So that's why the social worker was there to help her, get her life back together. So it's like, okay, Loretta, like, they was close. Did they go to the same park? Did they, but their kids are different ages. Like, you're trying to see how the man connect them, but we don't know how. He probably saw him, like, in a store, like, I want her. We never know.
Yeah.
Because I was watching Criminal Minds, and they had the same shape of the eyes, and that's how he wanted them, the shape of the eyes. Like, I'm sorry, like, we don't know why he connected them. That's, I'm, like, kind of comparing them, like, okay, what was it that made him want to fight these women? Because Loretta had a little girl and then she was pregnant, but Frances had a little boy. So it's like you trying your best to see what was it. That's why it's like putting these two cases together is kind of hard. Like I'm like, are they connected? Are they not? But how they died was so similar because they both fought back and was stabbed. So they both were young moms. That's the only thing. What do you think? I'm stuck.
So I do think that it was a serial killer or some kind of stranger because there was no motive. There was no reason for them to do it. The victims were like similar. They both had kids and, they were alone at night. But I really don't think that it was somebody that they knew. Because usually, like, what we've seen is if it's somebody with a motive, like, they'll stab them a certain amount of time or, like, there'll be some type of altercation or, something along those lines. But the fact that they just killed the mom and then they left the kids, like, it's too similar. I don't know what problems they had, but I know... So Loretta was only in her house for 2 days. I don't really think that she it's too early for somebody to go after her, especially if she left her previous situation. Somebody was scoping them out. And I just think that 2 days is not enough time to like really get acclimated and for something like this to happen. But I do know that somebody was keeping an eye out, and it could have been a serial killer. Like, they do their homework, and maybe the urge like was there and they couldn't hold back. I don't know. Until they feel confident, that's when they'll attack.
Or I just thought of something. This is out there, you guys. You know how I think. What if Loretta wasn't supposed to be unalive that day? Because they just moved in 2 days prior, right? I don't know if I'm making sense, but like, what if the person before Loretta lived in her duplex was actually the person that's supposed to got unalive?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big if, but I'm like, because for her to be there for 2 days, it's just, because it seemed like he really listened to what Frances went through and like her neighbors telling the story. It seemed like he stalked them a little bit. Like he really like watched his victims. But for Loretta to just move there and 2 days later, she was unalive. But we don't know what if he was stalking her at her old place. We don't even know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying just like, I just feel like it was a stalker.
Yeah. I mean, definitely somebody that acts on impulse. Even, I mean, they could be a serial killer, but if there's an opportunity, like, they're gonna take it. So I feel like that's what it was. I don't think it was like anything personal. It's just they had a certain urge and they acted on it, and unfortunately, it left 2 kids without a mom. And I don't know why he tackles moms. Maybe he had a rough upbringing, but
And hated their mom.
yeah, it just looks like
Mommy issues.
whoever it was did not like the role of a mom.
The way you go for a mom with young kids, because think about it, Christopher was there for hours, like trying to wake up his mom because he was covered in blood. So he held his mom, like he was shaking her. So that's like, as a mom, that's the saddest thing ever, because like, how could you do that? Like and then also like Christopher was too, and he was young, but how she fought back, I wonder if Christopher saw any of that, and it's the sad thing about it. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if Christopher knew this person, because he was 2. And for some reason, he probably saw that person and probably like ran back like, oh my, this person hurt my mom. Like in his head, he wouldn't know that young, like why I don't like this person. But he just had a feeling like, this person give me the ick, I mean, he is young. I don't know. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. But guys, do you think these cases are connected? I'm on a maybe. I'm really on a maybe a little bit, because I think it's just a DNA. I need them to put Frances' DNA in the system to do what they did for Loretta. I want them to do it for Frances. So let me know if you think these cases are connected. I'm a maybe. My wife, you are.
Yeah, I believe that they are. And I mean, because there's no clear motive. And the only other thing that I can think of is a serial killer. Somebody just acting on impulse, but also like stalking a certain demographic.
I agree. So let me know in the comments, do you guys think these cases are connected? And I will have a poll so you guys can say yes, no, or maybe. So go check it out. I will do it as soon as possible. This is our episode. We do case suggestions, so please send us some. We're on all podcast platforms, also on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating, like, comment, and subscribe. I cannot wait to see you guys next week. But don't forget, everybody's a suspect.
So proven innocent.
Bye.
Lesbian detective. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, lesbian detective, lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the lesbian detectives.